Every US visa starts with one of three ingredients: love, talent, or money. Today, we're talking about money. One of the biggest mistakes I see E-2 investors make is believing that if they simply have enough money in the bank, they are ready to apply for an investor visa. And that's only half the story, because under US immigration law, officers don't just ask how much money you have. They ask two completely different questions. Where did the money come from and how did it get there? Those two questions are known as source of funds and your path of funds. And understanding the difference can determine whether your E-2 visa is approved or delayed or even denied. I'm Tapias, CEO and immigration attorney at Loigica. And today I'll explain why both concepts matter and why cryptocurrency is one of the best examples of how these rules work. Let's start with source of funds. Where did the money come from? This answers a very simple legal question. How did you lawfully acquire the investment capital? The money could come from many different sources: employment income, business profits, the sale of a business, the sale of real estate, investments, inheritance, a lawful gift from a family member, or even cryptocurrency. None of these sources is automatically better than another. What matters is whether you can clearly document that the funds were obtained lawfully. For example, if your investment comes from selling a business, I want to see the purchase agreement, the closing documents, proof of payments, and the funds arriving in your account. If your capital comes from cryptocurrency, I want to understand how those digital assets were originally acquired. The question is always the same: was the money lawfully earned or acquired? Now, let's talk about the second concept, the path of funds. This is different. Here, immigration officers want to understand how the money traveled from its original source into your US investment. In other words, can they follow the money? Imagine you sold an apartment. Where were the sale proceeds deposited? How did they move from your local bank? Did they transfer into another account? How did they reach your US business? How were they ultimately invested? Every major transfer should make sense. I often tell clients to think of this as building a financial timeline. The fewer unexplained gaps, the stronger your case. Cryptocurrency, a perfect example. This is where cryptocurrency becomes a great example. Many investors assume that because they have significant wealth in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other digital assets, they simply need to print an exchange statement. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. The good news is that cryptocurrency is not automatically disqualified as a source of investment funds, but it usually requires more documentation. Why? Because the government still wants answers to the same two questions. Where did the crypto come from? And how did it become the money invested in the US business? That often means documenting the original purchase of the cryptocurrency, exchange account records, wallet history, transfers between wallets or exchanges, the liquidation of the assets, and the transfer of those proceeds into the US business. The technology may be modern, but the legal analysis remains exactly the same. The biggest mistake I see is an investor walking into my office with a bank statement showing $200,000 and saying, "Here's my investment." My next question is always, excellent, where did it come from? And after that, show me exactly how it got here. Because immigration officers aren't simply verifying that you have money. They're evaluating whether your financial history is complete, credible, and fully documented. The stronger the story is, the stronger your E-2 case becomes. If you are planning an E-2 investment, don't focus on how much you are investing. Focus equally on how you are going to prove your source of funds and document your path of funds. Those two concepts are often just as important as the investment itself. If you would like our team at Loigica to evaluate your source of funds, trace your investment history, and build a strong E-2 strategy from the very beginning, we'd be happy to help. And remember, every US visa story begins with one of three ingredients: love, talent, or money. I'm Tapias, and I'll see you in the next video.